Amy Maikoski, welcome to Empower Network TV.
Thank you. It's a
I was just
pleasure.
telling Amy I love her hair. Amy, can you give us a quick side profile of the hair? Like, look at that haircut. That's just amazing.
Thank
So,
you.
well, we were talking just off camera before about, freedom through surrender and like your I am statement, because your Zoom says, Amy, I am. Where are we going to start your interview? With your story, with where you currently are? What are you feeling, Amy?
Well, I love feeling first and foremost. So thank you for that invitation, for just allowing me to be who I am. I have some miraculous things that I've accomplished in life, which are wonderful and grand. But I definitely know that without the Amy behind the curtain, that I would not be who I show up as today. And anywhere from my 5-year-old inner child, with probably one of the most tumultuous things that happened in my life, all the way up through even being a professional. I have lots and lots of experiences that have allowed me to become the best version of me. And so I would say probably a story. The most recent one that definitely has evolved into connecting with some really powerful people. I came home from work one day. I was the chief operating officer for a multi-million-dollar home developer, and came home and just understood that there was this terrible pain in the core of my body. And I also realized that at that day that it had been happening for several weeks and I had been ignoring it. So I sat down next to my husband and we were getting just a little bit of snuggle time because we don't get much of that. And as I tried to sit down, I was so uncomfortable. There was nothing that worked. And so I would adjust and fidget and adjust and fidget. And I'm a very strong personality. So my husband just looked at me out of the corner of my eye, or of his eye, excuse me, without asking a question, because he knew he would probably get snapped at. And as I was trying to even just take a deep breath in, I closed my eyes and woke up in an emergency room. Things were crazy. People were running around me. Chaos was just consuming the entire space. I had no idea what was going on, being poked and prodded. I didn't recognize anybody. My husband wasn't there. And the doctor saw how big my eyes were. And he leaned over and he said, "Ma'am, you're not going anywhere." Now, I'm a life coach. Like, I do this for a living. I teach people health and wellness and how to manage stress and nutrition and all of these magnificent things. And here I was completely immobilized in an emergency room with no idea what was going on. Several weeks went by, several surgeries took place. And the world happened without me. Even though I felt like I'm in control of it all, everything happened without me. And I found out that my body had actually attacked itself from the amount of stress that I had been under. And I was ignoring the very, very big signs that my body was screaming at me. And my gallbladder had to be removed. Even though I ate extremely clean and healthy, my body actually encompassed my gallbladder with white blood cells and tried to get rid of it all by itself. And when they found that out, there were gallstones. They had to remove the gallstones. They nicked my pancreas. So you want to talk about just nightmare? Amy lived it. And so this was just a few years ago, and that was my sign that life had to change. That was my sign that I had to do things differently. And shortly thereafter, I left corporate America and have dove into the personal development and transformation space, because I have lived the story myself. And so powerful presence for sure. But that is definitely one of my most recent stories that reminds me that we are all human beings and we need to be mindful of this space that we hold and of our body that speaks to us very loudly.
So what was it like in the hospital? Because if you are a very capable person to be suddenly vulnerable, what was that like?
Oh, Amos, let me tell you, darling, I struggled a great deal. I'm a leader. I'm a go-getter. I don't take no for an answer. My 24 hours is a packed 24 hours every day that I'm given it. So I had a real challenging time mentally, emotionally, and physically with everything that was going on. A huge wake-up call. A lot of tears fell. A lot of inner dialogue of, why in the world is this happening to me? Why did I let it go this far? Having to shut out the entire world and take care of Amy first was a priority that I didn't really have any other choice but to. So that rock and a hard place was, you don't get to just keep doing things the way you're doing them now. A lot of really, really hard questions that I had to ask myself.
Wake up calls are not easy. They're
No.
not, like, even if you can spin it and then like jujitsu, use your opponent's inertia against them. Even if you can spin it, there's
Yeah.
still, how did it affect your husband?
My husband did the not that I told you so kind of thing, but he was actually very, very grateful that I was in a space that the rest of the world couldn't get to me. Very protective, but very supportive of everything that was happening. But because of a few medical issues that happened while we were in the hospital, of course, got very protective of me and had a few conversations with doctors because I'm his everything. And so he did everything that he could, he still had to work during the day, but would come and sit with me and made sure that my care was being, priority of everybody that was in that team of doctors and nurses and everything else that was involved. So it rocked him a little bit. He was very scared at one point, was told that, I was a very, very sick woman and he couldn't and doesn't want to have to imagine life without me. And so it was really hard for him too, and had a few wake-up calls of his own that life couldn't continue the way he was doing it for health reasons, nutrition, stress levels, all of those things. So it affected a lot more people than just me.
Well, and how does that work, Amy? Because if you were eating very healthy and all that, so why do our bodies do that? What is the deal with that?
What I understood from the doctors, which I absolutely ask 1,000,002 questions, was that because of the stress level that I had put myself under, and stress we all have, we all live with, we all manage it great. But I had signs that my body was telling me that things weren't okay and I was ignoring them. And so because I wasn't changing my lifestyle or adjusting the way I needed to, my body took it upon itself to find an answer. And a gallbladder, yes, is important, but it's not certainly imperative for our bodies to have, just like appendicitis. You know, it could have attacked any organ of my body. I'm grateful it was just my gallbladder. So
So your body, okay, so you're going through, you're eating clean, eating healthy, living healthy, your body goes, we have to intervene because maybe Amy wasn't getting our messages. So for
correct.
those, maybe just even to help people that might be getting the same messages right now, Amy,
Absolutely.
what kind of messages would a body that's in stress too much be saying?
Absolutely. So mine started with just a very sharp pain in my abdomen. And pain comes in different ways for different people. So wherever your pain tolerances are, I am a mother of 7 beautiful children. And so I have done childbirth multiple times, and my pain tolerance really is extremely high. Several of them I had with no epidural, no pain medicine, all natural. So I naturally have a very high pain tolerance. And so when I was getting that pain, I just kind of hushed it. And our body speaks in so many different ways. And so being aware and slowing down enough to check in with ourselves, both mentally, emotionally, and physically, is really the answer behind knowing what our body's saying to us. And it's important to know all of those levels and check in. And that's actually part of the program that I offer in my transformational space, is how is it that we honor ourselves well enough to utilize the gift that we're given each day that we're alive, and slowing down enough to be aware and check in is a pivotal part of that, because then we don't get, like you said, to that wake up call that's really, really painful. We can make smaller adjustments, smaller degrees and changes in our lives so that we don't get to the hard spot. We can be more focused on where, we want to get to. And if something's not working or it's out of balance, then we can adjust it sooner than later.
So what are your then favorite stories of clients that you've worked with who've gone through this process, who've had these aha? What story?
Moments.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I actually had a gentleman that is an executive, top level executive, that did not realize through being busy that he was losing his oldest son, a relationship with his oldest son. And his son, unfortunately, got himself in a whole lot of trouble and had to face a very tough conversation with bars between the two of them. And he said, Dad, all I wanted was your attention. And if things, would have been different. And as he said, well, all I was doing was providing for you, and not realizing that that connection was more important. And so in a lot of what I do on the transformational side, we talk about simplification of who we are and how we show up in life, so that we can let go of and cut the strings from things that don't serve us, so that we can be more focused on the things that matter. And very clearly, his oldest son was a big priority in his world, and now is robbed of seeing him and spending time with him for several years because of the fact that he was unaware. I've had several clients that have dealt with similar health issues to what I went through, not necessarily to that extreme, but gaining weight, running into diabetes in their older age because of, maintenance, food maintenance, different things that, again, if they were paying attention to, hey, I've got the shakes, or I'm not hydrating well enough, or I'm really tired, or my moods are affected by the fact that I'm not feeding my body properly, as well as even the food we put into our eyes and our ears. Are we paying attention to the people we're encircling ourselves with? And if they are toxic individuals, how can we expect ourselves to be happy and to be able to be focused on the things that create this ultimate reality? So there's a lot of things that we've worked on with many of my clients, that it's a matter of being aware of who we are, being mindful and living in the conscious moment, so that we can take advantage of the opportunities and the gifts that are around us, and then having gratitude for the things that we do receive, so that we multiply that energy of positivity and abundance and the things that make us happy, that ultimately we're all living for or wanting for.
So talking about the things that make us happy, because behind you is interesting. So why? What are they, and why are they there?
Absolutely. So the items behind me are elements that are from my family, my husband's family and my family, that are pieces of our ancestry. And some of the people that they belong to are no longer with us. Some of them live very, very far away, but there is energy inside of each one of those elements. And it helps me to fill my workspace so that I'm focused on not just what I need to do in life, but the ancestral army that I have that encircles me, that has laid the path for me to get to where I'm at currently, and what my responsibility in my legacy to contribute back to humanity is. And so it's just a gentle reminder and a beautiful love and light and vibration in my space that helps me to do the miraculous things that I can in a day.
It's like anchor points.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're working, are you one-on-one groups, retreats?
I do one-on-one coaching. Absolutely. I am launching my first group program. Super excited in August of this year, and have been working on that for quite some time. the power of transformation is immense, and one-on-one coaching just doesn't let me touch enough people. And so I also knew that in that coaching, how imperative it is to have an ecosystem for those people that have gone through similar journeys to bounce off of one another, share stories, remain vulnerable, but show up with their inner leadership. And so in that, creating that ecosystem, I am launching my first program to touch a whole lot more people at a time. And it is going to be 12 weeks and touching lots of deep dives individually. I will be leading each weekly call, and then we will do some individual self-work in between the calls, and then also create smaller groups so that people can have connection to be able to encourage them to do this work that is definitely challenging, but without it, we don't get a different result than the mediocrity that we live in every day.
Well, it sounds like you're heart-centered and you're purposeful in what you're doing, Amy.
Absolutely.
Well, are you now your links, any links you have after we're finished, can you just tag them, put them in the comments of all, because I'll be tagging you in the interview?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd be
What
happy
else?
to.
Amazing. Those rocks look like brains to me for some reason.
It's actually a lamp.
Okay, I'm just thinking for whatever reason, it's like, it looks like a brain to me for some
It
reason.
does, and it's really fun when it's lit because
Oh, that's fun.
yeah, for
Okay.
sure, it is a whole lot of fun.
I wanted to ask you, how did you hear about Empower Network TV? Who invited you?
You know, I couldn't say her name if I wanted to. Ayana, I believe. She is amazing. She got into my page and recognized the similarities between energy and vibrations and personal transformation and brain empowerment and all of those things. And she said, oh my gosh, I need to introduce you to this amazing individual, Amos. And then I got to hear your story about creating an ecosystem for entrepreneurs to have that platform to share who they are, but not so much what they're doing, but how their stories have allowed them to become the beings that they are. And so I fell madly in love with it and was super excited and said, oh my gosh, what an amazing place to be. And I very much so believe in us supporting one another in all of our efforts, because this world is tough. Life is really, really tough. And I commend you for doing this hard work and spending the time and dedication in others' growth. I think it's magnificent.
Yeah. Oh, I benefit immensely from doing this. It's a lot of work, but I benefit immensely, Amy. I get to hear stories, and stories is what sells. When you know this, when you tell your story, it allows people to identify and see them in your story, and then they can connect with your heart because you share values. If they can find themselves in your story,
Yes,
it's not only the best way to sell, it's the best way to connect with humans.
absolutely. And the resonance is the beautiful part about it, because even if the details of our stories are different, there are only a few topics that connects us all as humans. And it is very, very powerful. I agree.
Yeah. Well, what else? Is there anything you'd like to leave others with? You'd like to finish off with as we?
Oh, wow. Just the powerful nature of I am. Just like you said in the beginning, we are born as human beings, not human doings. And if we can give presence and space to our existence, the things that we can accomplish are limitless. And we have the chance every day that we wake up to rediscover and redesign this beautiful thing of not only who we are and how we show up, but our ultimate reality that we so badly want. And so instead of just wishing and wanting, taking the time to know first and foremost what those virtues and values are that drive you, so that you can create goals and dreams and visualize that perfect day for yourself and put it into motion. Find that map, figure out a way to be different than just average.
Beautiful. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
for being here. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for showing up as you are.
Thank you.
Well, I'll message you after. I'll post this, message you with your links after, and yeah, look forward to
Perfect.
connecting again sometime. If you have been
Thank
watching,
you.
listening to Empower Network TV, please reach out to Amy Maikoski
Yes, sir.
and let her know that what you appreciated. Amy will be dropping her links to whatever she wants to drop here. Amy, any links you have, Amy. And thanks for being here.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Amos.
You too. Okay. Ciao for now.
Take care.